It truly is a beautiful day. Hello everyone and welcome back to Manor Lords again. And yeah, this game just received another major update, early access major update, so it's still on the beta branch. And in this case here, it actually adds quite a few new things. That is new rebalancing of a lot of buildings, and also the marketplace. We are also going to get a overhaul storage system, and on top of that also a few more new buildings like a tavern level 2 upgrade that we can finally go ahead with. And of course, the two biggest additions to this one here are two entire new maps that we have now. So not like the fishing ponds that we had in the past that just added fishing ponds to the existing map. This time around we have new maps, two of them, and both of them add two different things that we have. The first one is the river map that we can see here right away, and this one actually has the bridges on, right? So we can now build bridges. That's another major new addition to this game. At the moment we only have a tier 1 bridge. Pretty sure we can also go for stone bridges at some point. Right now it's the wooden bridges that we have, and in this case here, when we look at the grand scheme, we can see that yeah, it's pretty similar map, right? It's the Germanic map that we already had, just with the rivers in it now, and we also have new territories. So we have new names here, we have a few more new layouts of the territory, and of course also new resources that are distributed here, like the fish now. In the center of this playthrough here we have now our camp, and let's just explore this map a bit before we jump to the mountain map that is actually my favorite one, right? The mountain map is what I like a bit more, but for starters, let's have a look at what we can do here. And we have our camp right in here, right, where we can then go ahead and start building us something up that we want. Right in here with our sorry souls here. Also, the graphics have been improved further, right? So the faces look a bit more determined now than before. I don't know if you can see this in the compression of the YouTube videos, but the animations are way smoother and also way more detailed in this case here. And those guys, yeah, well, they of course expect me to do a few things. So as always, we're planting some buildings again. I would like to go ahead with a woodcutter and a sawmill right away, of course. And what I can see is on this map we have the berries right away. I mean, we are in March, so it's springtime right away. In this case here, we are going to have an easy time collecting those berries over here. Like us, we are also spawning right on top of a water vein, so I can build me my well somewhere here. The well also received an upgrade, so in this case here, we can now also upgrade it to level 2, a stone well. That's going to be interesting. And all the buildings have received new, animations. So additional doors, for example, additional windows that you can have. So yeah, lots of polishing there as well. There's the marketplace with its new additions then, its new mechanics that we can then also have a look at. We get now a supply and demand window right over here, so we can now immediately see our supply capacity, how many people we can supply with the supplies that we have. So this is really, really valuable, but because up to this point here, we always went by the feeling, right? We always went like, okay, I can feel that my food is going down, so we're just going to, improve it now. And now we can actually also see then how many people we can supply with that. It's 0 right now because we don't have a storage built at the moment. And this is also the new mechanic that we have here, the overstock mechanic. So workers will deliver extra resources as if they were supplying more brokerage plots than currently exist. This may help reduce supply fluctuation caused by lengthy logistics, travel times, and large towns. This is actually pretty interesting, so we can now also set this one up. How high can we actually go here? Well, I guess there's no really max number here. Let's keep it at 10 for now. And then also this is a bit more polished now, and we can also now say what kind of goods we want to sell on this market. This is a feature I've been waiting for, honestly, because we can now have specialized markets. That wasn't possible before, and now you can actually also specialize this one here by applying and reapplying or disabling goods that are on this. So you can have a food market, you can have a clothes market, for example, you can have a commodity market, right? You can also mix it, or you can also just see what kind of production is close by and then enable the market for these goods that are produced close by, right? So you can also shorten the routes with that. So if the city grows really big, for example, you can then have a specialist market over here, okay, that goes with salt, for example, and fish, right? And then you have a market over here that goes with berries and hunt, with game and meat and stuff like that. So this is actually a really great addition, I think, that definitely adds a lot of depth and to the management aspect of this game. Alright, right now we are in the process of starting our production here. So we also got the hunting camp up and running, we got the forager camp up and running now, and we got the woodcutter lodge up and running here now too. And with that, I still have a bunch of people available here for the construction of a mortgage plot. So in this case here, probably can do this over here. With 2 nice houses with gardens behind that. Let's also start the construction of this. Usually I like to go for, you know, smaller gardens, the more central you are. In this case here, I'm making an exception to this. Also, what definitely changed is a few of the displays up here, so we can see now the available living space that we have. That looks a bit better now, right? So right now it's -5, so 5 people are homeless, but we are already building 2 homes now. This is actually pretty helpful too, especially when you're getting into a larger town. You always had to hover over this to see additional information, and it was never really that clear. So this is also a nice, thankful addition here. Alright, people starting with their lives, getting things done. And it's just fun to also explore all these new additions, because this patch really is massive, and you can only see this with all these details then as well, right? So we got better improved animations. I don't think that this actually split in the past. We can also see here some moss on this tent. I just love it, really. There's so much love in this, and it really is the most detailed medieval city builder that I've seen so far when it comes to these things, right?
There we go.
Still, the question remains, where's the stone foundation coming from? Because we're only using logs for these buildings, but that's okay. And with the addition of another mortgage plot, we have 5 of them and also leveled up. Let's just have a look if anything changed in the tech tree. We got a few more symbols and icons that weren't there before, look a bit more refined. No new tech though outside of that, right? So it's still the same tags that we have. Also the deep mining down here and the advanced beekeeping over here. That's pretty much the same. For policies, also only the first 2 tiers we have. For production, nothing. And for trade, this is actually already a overhaul system in the previous patch. In this case, of course, no trade is happening at this point. Next comes the Marketplace edition. So I've moved Marketplace over here, and there's actually a major addition here. And that is that these guys here, the Forager Hut, for example, the family that is working here, they can no longer set up the marketplaces, right? Before that, it was possible for them, or it was the only option, really, the stalls, right? And they built the stalls, and they actually provided then the goods to the area. This was actually a system I liked to some extent, because it made sense, right? The family that manages the Forager Hut, you know, the father and the son, for example, or the daughter go out and collect the berries, whereas one person then sets up stall and sells these goods on the market. This made total sense, right? Because it was like that in the medieval time. However, for the sake of simplicity and, yeah, I guess for practicality, they actually changed it now. So in this case, these guys no longer set it up. Instead, you need to have now a storehouse. So this is basically the storehouse that we had before that as well. So let's set this one up here in the area. A storehouse and a granary, and only with those 2 things you can have now market stalls, right? So both of them, they're now here in my storage area, and they will have then people designated to build or to produce or to sell the goods on the market, because outside of that there's no stalls now, right? And thus no supply for my market. Pretty interesting change. I don't really know if I like it at this point, honestly, so we'll just see. There's a stone deposit over there. We're going to need that because a lot of buildings now require stone. So just like before, we need a stone cutter camp, and this one actually needs to be placed in here. But before we can actually do this, we also need some planks. Some of the requirements of the construction materials have also changed quite a bit, right? So buildings need a few more things now. Some buildings need more planks than before, like the apiary, I think it is. So in this case here, the economy has also been changed a bit around them. By the way, we have 1 available family here for construction purposes. So they're already working on this. And I will also need to provide a few more brokerages now if I want to have people moving in again, because this didn't change, obviously, right? So I would like to have another plot now here that we can have. So let's just see if we can make this a bit less dense. Oh, this is actually not possible. Right, only if we do it like that. So we can actually say then have 2 houses in here. Looks a bit messy though. And there's also new messages, armament delivery. A strong militia is paramount to the survival of any settlement. Luckily, a shipment of weapons has just arrived, and you will now be able to create your first militia banners to serve you and protect your people. However, we will need more weapons to equip all the people as the settlement grows. Thank you very much. And with that, we're actually getting, you know, spears and shields. That's because we finished the storehouse. So there it is. So we can now supply our people with that. And we can, with that, also now create our first militia. That is the spear militia. There they are, right? And there's immediately 10 people now that supply this one here. So once I raise it, you know, we have 10 spearmen actually available here. Now, let's wait with the assignment. We can also have this new window here. At least it has been refined. In this case here, we can now set what kind of stuff is getting stored into this building here. So we can also have specialized storehouses, you know, because they only have a limited amount of storage. And in this case, we can then say who's delivering what. Right now, we can keep it as general as possible. This will actually be pretty important with the overhauled marketplace mechanic. Because now, you know, we only have 3 families max per storehouse that build the market stalls. So it's going to be interesting how it goes then when you have 10 goods that you need to sell. You probably need then 3 to 4 storehouses, honestly. Will be interesting. Let's speed up time a bit so that we also finish our granary over here with the bit of stone that we have left. And also these brokerage plots here, because I want to have people moving in, of course. And on top of that, let's also have then a sawmill somewhere over here once I have a few more logs in again. Okay, so there is also now something that comes out of that though. That's interesting. And that is that, you know, people are delivering now the resources to the storehouse. That also means, in addition, you can now actually deactivate the woodcutter lodge to free up some labor, right? And in this case here, the firewood is still then available in the marketplace. So this is the upside of that. Before that, if I had to deactivate the woodcutter lodge because I needed the workforce, for example, the firewood and the market stall would be deactivated, right? So this was actually a pretty big deal. Now, as long as the storehouse exists with 1 family working in this, we actually have someone that sells stuff. It's May, so let's actually assign a family to this one now. There's also my granary, very good. They can now sell the food. Let's just wait it out again a second. I think the forager is full anyway, right? So let's reassign that family to the granary now, so that we provide these basic goods. And there it is. Now we actually got the market stalls. Alright, so this is where they build. The interesting question is, so now, how many market stalls you can have per family, right? So is it 1? It looks like 2 at least, because we have 2... We have only 1 family working here. Perhaps it's a full family. So that would mean 3 market stalls per family. This would actually add up to 9 market stalls then per storehouse. In this case though, some of those stalls were merged. So we now have a general goods storage. Do we see this already? It's a common goods stall, and then we have a general good. The common goods actually has the fuel and the clothing, and then we have a general store as well that is then available, for example, for fabrics. So this is a bit more diverse now. All right, with that, also can we see, there it is, right? So we're now having the supply coming in, and we can also now see the requirements fulfilled. So cloth is still missing. That is the ladder that we should have in already. Bandits still steal resources. Very nice. So one more thing we still need to add now as well is then a tanner. Should be somewhere over here actually. Where's my tanner? Lost him again. There it is. The tannery. Needs however also some planks. So this is really my next target. The saw pit. Approval goes positive though already. This is nice to see. This has also been a bit rebalanced to some extent. So with that, we should have now some immigration, right? So some population growth, hopefully, because we really need more workforce. There's the saw pit, so let's assign a family to this right away. We do need more planks. Also important to note that people also can just take food directly from the granary, right? And we can also see here how high the spoilage level is based on temperature, based on, you know, the goods themselves. And this is also helping to ease the strain on the marketplaces a bit because they were too important before that. New family moved in. Very good. We get the first workforce increase. That is perfect for this tiny village that we have. So we can now... I mean, the firewood is the most important thing really since winter is coming in soon. And logs, of course, for additional construction. So let's actually assign a second person here. And a bit later, we also finish the tannery. And can assign a family to this right away to start producing us leather. Very important that we get this one to fulfill the next demand here. And let's have a look at the burgages themselves. So we still have, of course, our... increase here. There is definitely some new icons, and also animal pen allows for keeping either goats or pigs in the backyard. Pigs provide a strong passive source of meat, while goats provide passive source of meat and hides. This is new, right? Before that we had the goat shed, and now it's the animal pen. All right. Amenities, church level, of course it is. Clothing stall, that is something we're providing already soon now, since the leather is being produced. So only the church is needed. For this, however, we will also need a bit more stone. So let's build me a stone cutter camp. I'd rather have this one somewhere over... Let's just see. Let's build that road. Where's my stone? There's my stone. Very important that we actually have some... Oh, have a road. What is that, by the way? It's an anomaly. We could build on top of that. There you go. Right, and then we have the stone cutter here outside. Actually, this one needs the logs, right? So let's stop this and have the stone cutter actually close to my city, because what actually happens here is that the people will just be able to get the stone themselves. You don't need an oxen for this, right? There's the ladder. The approval rating goes up with that further. Perfect. And with that, also another family moves in yet again. Of course, you know, that's more mouths to feed, but also more people that produces something. So we can now have always someone in the forages again. Perfect. The hunter we always keep online. It's just too important for meat and the ladder. So this is also coming into the storehouse now. Perfect. And we should then be seeing this one being sold at the common goods store. There it is. Leather is already ready for purchase. And you can also, this is great, wasn't there before? You can also see the leather now here on the table, right? There's the firewood and there's the leather. And yes, it disappears if it is not available. That's pretty neat. The same goes with the food stall. So we have berries right now and we have the meat, right?
You'll want to eat them by the bushel.
And finally, we have the available stone, the planks and the logs, all ready for a church right here in the center beside my marketplaces. Oh, a bandit camp was sighted. This is new. Over here. But it's actually pretty far away. Also, there's the river between us. But, of course, you know, we have bridges. We cannot probably burn them down. Let's just see if we can actually burn them down. No, we can't. Alright. Would have been interesting. By the way, I can also see you can have some very interesting shapes here, right? With this one, for example, building a city right here, for example, would look amazing probably with a nice castle here. So these rivers definitely add a lot of additional dynamics to this map. Also, of course, with war and everything, because, you know, it's getting concentrated around the bridges now. So this will also be an interesting addition here to have fortifications then close to these rivers, close to these bridges. Okay, with the latest addition of family, we have now 8 burgage plots occupied. That's all of them. Family that moved in, that's some builders, so we are using them for our wooden church. And of course, with the available timber that we still have, I would also like to build me some more burgages then, because that's pretty important for growth. Over here, for example. Unfortunately, we still don't have any new cosmetics, so we only have the shrine at this point. That's a pity, so we can have one shrine here, for example. I like to add these smaller ornaments wherever we have some empty space in between where a building doesn't make sense, right? Unfortunately, yeah, there's a spot for it, but that's still the only option that we have. Shrines. And there's our beautiful church coming up. As glorious as ever, this is going to add a whole new level once again to my population. And with that, we have then actually everything ready to upgrade those. Another family joins. I can see, yeah, for winter we are fine, right? 9 months of food supply, 5 months of fuel supply as well. So we can definitely last through the whole of winter. I would like to increase my plank production again a bit. And there is now the upgrade tab available. We have fulfilled all the demands here. And let's go ahead and upgrade us the first Burgage plot to level 2. Perhaps there's also a new addition here. And there is our level 2 one. And here we can now also add then an artisan. We can turn them into artisans again, right? So this is pretty much the same here now. Also the demands that we have for this whole area. And yeah, we can then go in and make this. It still only costs me money too, except some of them actually cost plankton on top of that, and some of them here cost me tools. I think this is new though, that we have tools now as a requirement.
Poor quality, he said.
Now, of course, pretty much the most important one that we have here is the bowyer's workshop to produce bows, because we have soldiers already, and we definitely need some more defensive forces here. So that would be an addition that we can have. Construction has started with that. Pretty interesting, the animal pen we can actually build without money. This is something that I love, because money was the limiting factor up to this point if you want to go for these. So now we can actually have some animal pens, right, where we can produce wool already, or leather, out of the goats that we have. So the goats would be my go-to here, because the hunter at some point, like now, is not enough anymore to provide enough hides for a town like this, right? So leather goes down, especially in winter. The hunting ground pretty much here is empty all time, so it's at 11 out of 20, which is, I think, my set target. Let's just check this out again here as well. Yes, wild animals per herd minimum 10. So the hunter stops hunting once we reach that number. And for this, we now have, yeah, our order. Ah, okay, there it is. So the pen itself actually was only planks, but the animals now actually you need to import with money. Right, and only then can we actually go with this. So here we're using now the goats out of 20 coin that we have. So that's my regional wealth. And there they are. So we don't need even an animal trader for this. They just appear. Kungund. waiting to be slaughtered. Also over here we build one. So let's also get me a goat in that. They provide meat as well, but meat is not my primary concern. By the way, we have lots of stone, so I might also just turn off my stone cutter here. And yeah, right now, food production is at a minimum, so we're really going down on this. Usually I would like to go for some fishing, but we don't have any fishing ponds in this starting area where we are. So in that case here, I need to actually start with a farm. And what I can see right now is, once again, like, this is mostly the case. We're extremely unlucky with the fertility, and the only fertile ground that we have is right here where we built the city itself. Oh boy, it can't get any worse than this. Let's have a look at flax. Flax is downright impossible. We got barley. Barley is also really bad. Holy moly. And rye. Rye is actually possible, once again, only here. And there's also some tiny spot here. Barley would be nice because of the... Yeah. Obviously, because of the ale production we can have out of this. But holy cow. Always this unlucky. So emmer it is. That's food, basically. So for this, of course, let's start with a farmhouse. Let's have the farmhouse probably a bit further away. So where no fields are really possible. Yeah, somewhere over here. Just where we have the stonecutter camp already. Right, and then we can have some farming down here in this area. This would be okay, I guess. At this point, my storage is full, so primarily with firewood and planks. So let's upgrade it, right, to the next level. And I could also probably turn off the saw pit right now, since we have so many planks. But don't forget, of course, that my boya here is already producing now the bows. And this one consumes them planks. And yeah, we can also have a reserve now of planks. So 152 we have right now. And I would like this one here to go down now to 50, for example, right? So up to this point here, you can actually produce bows. We received reports of a band of raiders roaming around. So we'll be ready for this. What we can also do now here is then produce or start with the archer. The crossbow was a very cool new addition with also one of the previous updates. I love them, but for now we don't have the iron to provide, so it's only about the archers at this point. And yeah, we're now getting some archers in as well once my boy here starts producing bows.
Step right up and sample.
Winter is over, so we have survived already the first year on this new map. And yeah, there's the farmhouse. We have workforce, so theoretically we can actually start with farming this year. That would be pretty great. Right on here, right on these fields. Let's just see where we can have some decent field. There is one in the green area, for example, right? And then we can also use the yellow area. There's green area here, but this is too close to the city, so usually I don't like to use this, right? So it makes sense to have the fields a bit further outside, of course. So definitely here a few of them. Stay in the yellow area. And I'm also glad they fixed the problem here with the King's Road. So there was a problem when you couldn't build a field on the King's Road. This is solved as well. Very happy to see that. And here we can now, of course, once again, say whatever we want to use. Of course, always the crop rotation. We're going with wheat, then we keep it fallow, and then I'm going with wheat again for this one. Here we got a very good wheat production out of that. Then we could go for barley, and then I'm going to keep it fallow. And then here, let's go with crop rotation. We're going to say use barley this year, fallow, and then wheat. So that we have a bit of diverse area, and 2 families should be fine for starters. Starting a basic farming area is always a nice breakthrough as well. Down to 4 months of food, but of course spring is upon us, so yeah, wild berries are growing again. I also just love how dynamic and natural those forests look. I mean, beside Kingdom Come Deliverance, right, there's never been better forests than in Manor Lords. Just really beautiful. Also the transition to forests, right? You have then smaller bushes and smaller saplings and trees before the dense forest starts. So it looks lovely overall every time I look at them. Despite not being able to hunt, we have secured more leather again. So it's actually climbing thanks to our goat chats that are working now. And I think also we should have then the first bows in. So yeah, there it is. Archers are growing now. 4 archers we have already. So this makes it also possible then to start with some trading, right? Because at some point you have too many bows and you can then actually trade the surplus. And I would like to have my trading post as always close to my industry zone. So we have a road system here more or less that goes then to the King's Road over there, right? And here we have a crossing that I can still go up like this. So that we have our storages. So it just makes sense to have then also your trading building close to these storages, you know, because they're supplying both of each, of course. So you definitely want to keep the traveling time between them as short as possible. Also, it's rather central, which is also important because there's the marketplace, right? What we can do, though, at some point is move the logging camp and then just get somewhere else. So there is a trade... ooh, that's actually a lot of them. Are they coming to us? No, they're not. They're actually leaving us. This is the Baron, I think. Yeah. So he's moving somewhere with them, probably destroying some bandits. No new additions to the army though, right? So the crossbows is the latest addition, and in this case here, fighting against each other. Probably just attacking the bandits here. No one is attacking us right now. Great. Even though we do have some defense already. I could also start building my manor house. That's pretty important because then we can actually also have some retinue, which is some very powerful units. And yeah, for this it would make sense to have something like that up here, right? This is where I would probably like to have it, but it's far away. It would take quite some time to start the construction of this, but this is just lovely. Look at this. There's cliffs then going down, so having a manor house up here would look pretty epic most likely. So let's actually start the construction of this up here. There you go. And it's really just this what I want right now. But first, of course, let's finish the trading post. And I don't know if I just, you know, imagine this, but it all looks so much more detailed. Also, these have now doors that are functioning. We can now have a family here, and I can now start with the trading, especially, of course, as always, I'm starting with the bows, because you can have them in a high volume quite early on, and you can then also sell them. So we can actually then say export war bows. We want to have a surplus, though, of at least, let's make 15, and past that, you can sell it. It's April. People are working on the fields, as they should. All of them are busy plowing the fields, sowing them, and hopefully harvesting them also in this year. And look at those graphics. I just love the graphics of this game. Also, the depth that you have, right? If you move over there, you can really see that we're on a plateau. This is just looking really nice going over there. And then you have the valley down there, and you have the manor house here. What a beautiful location. And yes, you can build all of this area, right? So this is not just some empty assets. You can build everywhere here. Beautiful. For my next, or for my first tag, actually, since we don't have any fishing ponds, we can actually focus a bit more on trapping, so that my hunters produce also some meat in winter. Yeah, selling finally pays off, and we do have a bit of money again, regional wealth, and with that we can actually also start a dedicated trade route. Usually my go-to here, because this attracts more traders, right? It's the 50 coin that we pay for this, and this then just leads to more export down the road, since, yeah, bows are really high value, or high volume product, I should say. And with the money that we have as well, I can also then go ahead and build me, for example, some new additions here. Not these guys here, these are going to be artisans, but the ones a bit further outside, like for example a chicken coop. That's actually pretty important, because you definitely also want to have a bit more food variety going, and chickens produce all year long, and they also provide eggs then during winter. The Manor Lords is, or the Manor House is also coming along for the Manor Lord. It's just one more stone that we need. And what I can also see is 81% approval rating is quite nice, so there's a lot of immigration. And I think this is the last piece of stone that we have. There you go. Took us, of course, way longer than it could, because, yeah, basically it was a bit outside, but what an epic location this one is, right? And the cool thing about this one is we can open the castle planner, and then, for example, have the walls and gates that just along here. I mean, you don't really need to, because no one will breach this side here, so we can make a huge gate, for example, here. There's also the nice gate then coming out of this, right? And then we have this one going over there again towards those cliffs. So that's also a nice natural border that we have on this side here. Also overlooking that valley as a celebration to that new lord is just perfect. What a beautiful location. Also, what we have with that, of course, is red news. So very heavy soldiers. So we get 13 archers now, 14 spear militia, and 5 red news. That we have 5 heavy armored knights. That's a nice addition as well. So far so good. This is the new update. I love the new map here with the rivers. There's one more thing we can do here actually, and that is building a bridge. Because bridges are not only there by default, right? You can also build them yourself. So if you have a nice spot, you need to have some planks for this. Later on it's going to be hopefully stone then as well. And with that we can then also start the construction. Funnily enough, the bridge appears immediately, right? So there's no construction for this really. It's really just the planks that you need, and then poof, you have a new bridge. So with that, you can open it up. I would have loved actually to not have bridges at all in the beginning, and you need to build them yourself to open up the map a bit further. This would add a nice layer of progress, but as it is right now, building new bridges doesn't really make that much sense, because you have a lot of pre-built bridges already on the map, in locations where it makes sense, right? So building them somewhere else really doesn't make that much sense. I mean, here I could definitely think about a bridge. If you have a nice city here, right, around that river, this would actually look lovely. Holy cow, what a beautiful location here for a city, right? We can have then the buildings around that. This would be nice for a longer series, but for that I'm going to wait a bit longer for a few more updates to come in. At least we got the beautiful map now. Manor Lords doesn't disappoint up to this day. The updates come in slow, but when they come, they add really meaningful stuff. I hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to also check out my long play of almost 5 hours of Manor Lords. The link is in the description as well for this. Stay tuned.